Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy one and only AI Legends, and yeah guys, today I am back with another series which is going to be what if Naruto awoken the powers of a demon lord and became ruthless. So hope you guys enjoy the series, as many people wanted me to upload this series for quite some time, and I really wanted to do this as well, and hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy it as well. So yeah guys, for the next part the like goal is going to be, let's see, 320 likes, 180 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part of this series as quick as possible. And yeah guys, I have just uploaded the last part, or rather the second last part of what if Naruto was abandoned by his family and was banished by Konoha in the channel. If you guys have not checked it out, have not seen it, please check it out. You guys will definitely like it. And before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to this channel, or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so. It will really help me a lot, as I want to reach at least 20k as soon as possible, as I have already reached 10k. So hopefully it will be great. So yeah guys, please subscribe to the channel. And yeah guys, I will try to put the link of my Instagram within the description below. Follow me on Instagram as well. My Instagram page name is ARLegends1234. If you search it on Instagram, you should be able to find it. So yeah guys, without any further ado, let us start the video. As Naruto, I will start my video of Naruto's training with Jiraiya before the chunin exam. Yeah, it begins here. As Naruto was standing in front of Jiraiya, as Jiraiya was looking towards Naruto, as he said, "Alright Naruto, from here on it is do or die. All you have to do is summon the chakra of the fox and you should be able to protect yourself." As Naruto was a bit confused, but before he could say anything, as Jiraiya pushed Naruto away, as Naruto eyes widened, he was falling. As he looked upward to see, he was falling in a ravine. As Naruto's eyes widened, as Jiraiya was looking towards Naruto, expecting him to summon the chakra of the fox so he could summon a large enough door to protect himself, while on the other hand Naruto was panicking. He tried to grab to the sides, but it was way too much slippery and his chakra control was not that great to begin with. He was falling to his death. As Naruto tried to do something, he was panicking at this point. Hell, he even forgot the hand signs for the summoning jutsu to begin with. As then suddenly his life started to flash through his eyes. He remembered the time when he was in the orphanage, which was pure hell to him. As he remembered all of his life in orphanage, among all of his life, orphanage was the worst of it. And then he was kicked out of the orphanage at the age of 3. And for almost a year, he spent his time within the streets of Konoha. And after that, Third Hokage found him. And as he remembered all of his life, how the villagers attack him, abuse him, glare at him, and try to do all the harms that they could actually do. He remembered how he became a shinobi, all of those things, and how his team did not treat him as a member of its team whatsoever. Sasuke being arrogant, Kakashi being hypocrite, and Sakura being, well, to be honest, at the last point of his life, she was a bitch. As Naruto remembered that, all of it, as a sad smile came to his face. Well, at least all of his suffering will end here. And with a thud, he met to the ground. As Jiraiya, in the meantime, was wondering what is actually going on here. At this point, Naruto should have been able to access the Fox Chakra and should have been able to summon a toad, but he did not thought that. As Jiraiya's eyes widened, he has to do something. If Naruto was not able to summon the Fox Chakra, then all of it will be for nothing. As he quickly jumped down, trying to reach to the area, while on the other hand, Naruto finally opened his eyes. He was in a sewer. As he started to look around, well, as far as he remembered, Konoha's sewer does not look like this. After all, he spent some time there trying to avoid some villagers when they tried to attack him. So it was not the same place, but still, he felt a presence of a being which was far stronger than Naruto could actually ever hope to be. As he gulped a little, he could feel a bit of fear inside of him, but still, it was a bit familiar as well as strange. As Naruto was wondering what is going on here, last thing he remembered that how Jiraiya pushed him from the whole cliff and all that thing. He was not able to summon a toad and things like that, but still Naruto started to follow this, you can say, source of power, as he finally arrived to see the gigantic gates And as far as I remember, this must be definitely his seal, and Fox must be there. As Naruto decided to see inside of him, but then he started to walk closely as he saw that a person was there standing in front of the gates. And as for the fox, he as Naruto's eyes widened after he saw the fox, as Fox was kneeling in front of this person almost in a kneeling like fashion, as the person was simply looking towards the fox, but then he started to look towards Naruto. As Naruto was taken aback from it, this person has dark red eyes, and his presence, his aura was that of dominating. As Naruto was taken aback from it, as the person started to chuckle as he said, well, so you are my descendant, aren't you? My blood descendant. To be honest, as he started to look towards Naruto, I expected more. But then again, after looking towards your memory, it is understandable, as Naruto was taken aback from it. As I said, what are you talking about? My descendant? Who are you and what are you doing here? As he looked towards the seal, the fox was still there as he was shivering in utter fear. As Naruto was a bit surprised. He thought that the fox would be all evil and things like that. How he will demand his life for chakra or things like that. He was quite confused at this point, as this person finally turned around as Naruto saw the full stature of this person, as he was almost human looking but not completely. As Naruto simply shook his head wondering what is actually going on here, and the person started to chuckle as he said, well, my descendant, allow me to introduce you to me. My name is Raisin and I am one of the 4 demon lords of Makai. As Naruto was taken aback from it. Demon Lord, what is he talking about? As QB was still shivering in utter fear, as the person started to chuckle as he said, and you, my boy, you are my descendant. Long ago, before Naruto could say anything, as the person started to speak, long ago, I was rather exiled from the demon realm because I did not want it to follow their rules anymore, and all of the 3 other sections decided to turn against me, and I decided to leave from the place of the demon realm and finally decided to reside in the human realm where I fall in love and all that. And finally you are here, my long lost descendant who has been able to awaken some of the demonic powers and was able to summon my remaining power and what left of my consciousness in this place. As I looked around, as but I can understand as I look back towards the QB, one of the parts of the jury, huh? As he simply looked back towards Naruto, as Naruto was taken aback from it. This person was claiming to be his forefather. He was, he was family. As Naruto was taken aback from it, as the Raisin started to chuckle as he said, well, to be honest, I was not expecting you to meet me in this situation, especially. I was taking a, you can say, keeping an eye on you, wanted you to awaken your power, and finally, in the last moments of your life, you are able to awaken it. As Naruto's eyes widened, finally remembering that how he was falling from the hill, and he must have hit the water below. As his eyes widened, as he said, which which means that I'm dead? As the Raisin started to chuckle, well, in human terms, your body has finally given out, while it is only temporary, so don't worry about it. As Naruto was already panicking, as he finally stopped, as he looked towards Raisin with a bit of calculative eyes, as he said, so you're saying that you're my forefather and I am your descendant and you're a actual demon, huh? As the Raisin simply nodded as he said, so I see that you're not as stupid as I previously thought. As Naruto simply scoffed as he said, I wanted to live, and as far as I know, the stupid demon gets to live, while on the other hand, a intelligent one definitely does not. As the Raisin started to chuckle, as he started to burst into pure laughter, as he said, well said, my descendant. As Naruto simply nodded at that. As I said, so what are you doing here? Which means that I'm dying, but I'm not dying. So mind explaining it, huh? As Raisin simply nodded at that, well, you may have demonic blood inside of you as well as some of the demonic powers, but still, your demonic power is not that great. Well, if I must say, it is one of the most lowest rank of the demon powers. But don't worry, the only condition for you to activate your true power, the true power of a descendant of the demon lord, is for you to combine your powers along with my own remaining power, which you can see I'm already dead. It is just the consciousness of my remaining power. And the only condition for that to met is for you to die, or rather your body to die and your power to merge with my own by awakening the true potential of your power and thus converting you into a true demon lord of Makai. As Naruto was pretty surprised as he said, which means that I will get pretty powerful, right? As Raisin simply nodded. Aren't you scared of becoming a demon? After all, you are a human more than a demon. As Naruto simply scoffed, all of my life I have been treated as a demon, so what bad is there to become an actual one? As Raisin simply chuckled as he said, well said, my descendant. So hopefully you're ready, huh? As he simply nodded at that, but before that, as Naruto speak up, as he looked towards the QB, why did you decide to attack the village all of those years ago? As QB finally looked upward to see Naruto as he was pretty scared. And as he said, I was not in control of my action. The Uchiha known as Madara Uchiha was controlling me that day. As Ryzen simply scoffed at that. As he said, the power of the Jubi known as the QB. I did not thought that you would be that weak to be fallen under the accursed Kekkei of that Uchiha clan that my rival made so he could control my other commanders. As the QB simply looked down at that. After all, the Sharingan could only be able to control low level or rather mid level demons. It would have never worked the original Jubi to begin with, which was one of the commanders of the reason to begin with. As he simply scoffed at that as he simply looked towards Naruto as he said, so are you ready, my descendant Uzumaki Naruto? As Naruto simply nodded at that as the Raisin put both of his hands on the shoulder of Naruto and one of his hand on the head of it as he started to burst into red as well as blackish energy as Naruto's eyes widened as pure utter you can say pain and agony entered into the body of Naruto, while in the outside world Naruto's body was already falling from the other side of the cliff in water as it started to burst into you can say fire, as well as you can say pure agony was inside of Naruto's body as he was coming from consciousness to unconsciousness, all of that. While on the other hand, Kyuubi's chakra was trying to heal Naruto's body as it was changing, well not physically, appearance, but still from the inside as the power was coursing through Naruto's body, while on the other hand, Jiraiya was panicking at this point. Naruto was nowhere to be found as he was wondering how he was actually going to answer to Sarutobi sensei as he quickly jumped out of the ravine and dashes towards the Hokage office. He has a lot to explain. While on the other hand, Sarutobi had a bad feeling about this whole situation, what was actually going on here. Yes, third Hokage has a lot of regrets in his life. He regretted his mistakes about Orochimaru. He regretted the death of his successor as he thought that he should have been able to take the place of Minato. After all, Minato was a young man. His time was yet to arrive, but he died way too early. And then the treatment of his only son, as Sarutobi saw at that, his biggest failures was Naruto, none other than Naruto, not even Orochimaru was. At that point, it was only second to Naruto as he simply saw it, but at this point he was having a bit of bad feeling about this whole situation. As then suddenly Jiraiya quickly jumped from the window in front of third Hokage as third Hokage simply looked towards Jiraiya. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? I thought you were training Naruto-kun. As Jiraiya had a panic look on his face, but then he simply looked down as Sarutobi had a bad feeling about it, as he said, Jiraiya, as Jiraiya sighed, as he started to explain the whole situation and the end of it, the whole, you can say, office burst into, you can say, bloodlust. And Ki, as Jiraiya was taken aback from it, it has been years since his sensei was this much angry at him, as Sarutobi simply looked towards Jiraiya with pure utter anger in his eyes as he said, what? You're saying me that you push him from the hill so that he could activate the 90th chakra as Jiraiya gulped Sensei, I wanted him to activate the ninth chakra, and for the only way for Jinchurikis to achieve that is through life and death situation. I thought that he would have been able to access it as Sarutobi slammed his face into the table, cracking it apart as he said, "Damn you, Jiraiya, have you any idea what you have done? You have killed off the only son of your prized pupil, and now look at where we are. No Jinchuriki, and no Uzumaki, no Naruto to begin with." As Jiraiya simply looked down, but then suddenly there was a burst of chakra across the village, the demonic chakra, as all of them remembered the QB. But it was even more worse at that, as both Jiraiya and Sarutobi's eyes widened, and that it as quick as it came, it simply vanished through the area as Sarutobi slumped into the chair. I think that was the chakra of the QB which got released. Isn't it right, Jiraiya? As Jiraiya was a bit confused, but then he simply nodded at that. Of course, when a Jinchuriki dies, its chakra is releases. The chakra of the Bijou is released from the body as he simply looked down to the ground as Sarutobi simply scoffed at that. Jiraiya, soon enough, I'm going to release the information about Naruto's heritage since it seems that he's already dead. And when I will do that. I will also tell to the villagers that how he was killed by you, none other than you, one of the Sanin, and you will take the responsibility for that. As Jiraiya was already looking down, as I simply nodded at that, as Sarutobi simply scoffed, "Now get out of my sight, Jiraiya." As Jiraiya simply nodded and went off, only thinking, "I'm sorry, Minato." While on the other hand, Sarutobi was already thinking about his failures and how it has already been turned up against him, as he was already feeling way too much tired of being Hokage and all that, as he started to silently cry for the death of one of the great shinobi as well as his own grandson figure. Now let us have a small time skip as 1 month has finally been passed. In this time there was no sign of any body of Naruto Uzumaki as Sarutobi tried to send his most you can say personal Ambu to find the body at least. Not even Jiraiya was able to find anything, even though Hiruzen had a bit of hope that Naruto somehow would have been alive, but that burst of chakra, of the demonic chakra, only proves that how the Biju which was sealed inside of Naruto has been you can say killed off and its chakra has been dispersed, therefore killing Naruto by default. So he knew that there was little to no hope whatsoever, but still they wanted to find the body, but they were not able to do so whatsoever. Now the time skip has finally been passed as Hiruzen along with you can say Cascade was sitting as Hiruzen was looking down to the stadium with a sorrowful expression, knowing that Naruto would have been there to fight off against many of these competitors, but alas, it was not to be possible as Genma was there along with all the competitors in the whole chunin exam. As Genma was looking all around, it seemed that Kakashi's two students are not there. As he sighed, well, it seemed that Kakashi has passed down his laziness to his team at least. Now, while on the other hand, within the, you can say, side arena, as Ino speak up, "Hey Sakura, where is Sasuke-kun?" As well as Naruto is not there as well. As Sakura speak up, "Well, Sasuke-kun has been training with Kakashi Sensei. Well, I don't know about Naruto Baka." As Ino was taken aback from it, as she said, "Well, Sakura, he is your teammate, so don't you think that you should support him a little?" As Sakura scoffed, as she said, "Huh, as if that Naruto Baka is ever going to win. Neji is the rookie of the year of previous year, so there's no way Naruto, the dead lost, is ever going to pass, and he's just a burden to the team, and he's completely useless in all the missions. Only Sasuke-kun and I are able to drag him through the mission." As Ino simply nodded at that, knowing that how Naruto is just a dead lost, so she did not thought much of it. While on the other hand, you can say Shikamaru was looking down as he was looking all around, wanted to see if Naruto would be there, as Genma said, "Alright, all of you went off to the sidelines. It's about time we start the first match." As he simply nodded at that as he said, "Alright, the first match is going to be Neji Hyuga versus Uzumaki Naruto. Please stay here." As Neji was still there with an arrogant smirk on his face, knowing that how the loser, the dead last, must have, you can say, forfeit the match. After all, he was destined to lose to someone like him, a prodigy, a Hyuga, as Janma was waiting for some time as he said, well, Uzumaki Naruto, you have 5 seconds. If you're not here, then you're disqualified from the competition. As the time passes on, as many people were booing Naruto all around the place, as Janma said, alright, Uzumaki Naruto is hereby but before he could complete the sentence, as all the players started to get darker, and then suddenly a blast of dark red, you can say lightning, shoot to the ground as dispersing a lot of dust, as most of the people were a bit surprised, as well as Janma. He was ready to see if it was some type of attack, but to his utter surprise, a kid walked out of it, as this was none other than, you can say, already guess, yeah. So while on the other hand, in the sidelines, as Jiraiya's eyes widened at that, as many of the people gasped in the stadium, as this was none other than, you can say, Naruto Uzumaki, but he looks like their Yandaime Hokage, as Naruto in this time has long blonde hair, as well as his attire completely changed from orange to complete black, as well as red lines all over the place, as Naruto had a, you can say, his headband protected at his arm, not on his forearm, as he simply looked towards Janma with a bored expression on his face as Naruto opened his eyes instead of his blue eyes. These were red, dark red eyes with not pupil or anything, just red. As they were gasps could be heard across the area, while on the other hand, Hiruzen was inside praying that how this must be his surrogate, you can say surrogate grandson. Well, in this series, I'm not going to make Hiruzen a big villain or anything. In the future parts, you will see that how he was pretty, you can say, yeah, you will see his condition. But anyways, as but there will definitely be many bashing. So yeah, hope for that. As now Naruto finally stepped out of the dust as he simply looked towards Janma with a bored expression on his face. As Janma said, Uzumaki Naruto? As Naruto simply nodded at that, as even you can say Neji was a bit surprised by the, you can say, increased height as well as change of attire and physical appearance of this kid, while on the sidelines as many of the, you can say, small women who did not knew about the fourth Hokage or anything like it were looking towards Naruto at awe with a small blushes on their faces, as Naruto's body, you can say, in this time his whole body was made up like biceps as well as whole six-pack abs and things like that. It could already be seen the fit. And while on the other hand, say there were several gasps from the shinobi area because Naruto was looking just like that Yandaime Hokage. Even you can say Orochimaru narrowed his eyes at that, wondering what is actually going on here. He could feel power that was radiating from that kid in waves. As Janma said, well, it seemed that you have been able to make it at the last second. Well, congrats to you. So, alright, let's begin the match as Neji finally came out of his trance as he simply scoffed as he said, so the dead loss is finally here. Do you honestly believe that you can win against me, a Hyuga, a prodigy, while on the other hand, you're nothing but a dead loss? While on the other hand, Naruto completely and utterly ignored Neji as he was looking all around the arena as if trying to search anyone, as Neji noticed that as he became furious at that. How dare this dead loss, this loser ignored him as he said, hey, can't you hear me? As Naruto once again ignored him completely. As Neji was even more further angered by that as Naruto literally, you can say, scanned all around the area as his eyes locked with Jiraiya, who gulped a little as Naruto's eyes shined with red power once again, but it vanished as quickly as it came. As Neji finally had enough of this dead loss dared to ignore him, a noble, as he dashes towards Naruto ready to end this match as quick as possible, as he came in front of Naruto as he released his, you can say, palm on the stomach of Naruto, ready to, you can say, knock him out as quick as possible. But to his surprise, as Naruto quickly grabbed his arm, spinning him around and kicking the back of Neji, sending him flying as Neji skid through the ground face first. As Neji's gasped at that, as there were several gasps could be heard, as Tenten could not believe it. Neji, that kid, was not even looking, as Neji was also a bit surprised, but then he quickly jumped in the air as he landed on his feet as he simply looked towards Naruto. who was once again ignoring him completely, as Neji finally had enough of it as he activated his Byakugan as he said, "Don't think that you're stronger than me just because you're able to hit me once. I finally have enough of this dead lost," as he quickly rushed towards Naruto, who finally looked towards Neji as he said, "Before I pummel you to the ground and show you your true place, peasant, I want to ask you a single question." As Neji stopped at his track, first at the tone which Naruto was using, as his voice was a bit, you can say, rusty and harsh type, not a kid like. As there were several murmurs going on through the stadium, many of the people were believing that Naruto has been taken over by the Nine Tails. Even Jiraiya was thinking in the same line, as well as Hirozen, as Neji simply looked towards him, wondering what this guy is actually talking about. As he said, "What are you talking about?" As Naruto said, "Do you regret hitting your cousin like that and beating her to the ground even when she clearly did not deserve it?" As Neji was silent for a moment, but then an arrogant smirk came to his face. "But of course, I enjoyed every moment of it, as she was just worthless, nothing more than that. She's a failure of the main branch, while I am the one who is destined to win." As Naruto simply nodded at that as he said, "Very well then." As Naruto has his eyes closed, but then he opened it, meeting the eyes of Neji, as Neji was taken aback from it by the intensity of those red eyes, who were, you can say, glaring into his soul. While on the other hand, Hiruzen and, you can say, Jiraiya were first thinking that he has been taken over by Nine Tails, but then they realized that Nine Tails would have never cared about, you can say, the whole situation with Hinata, as Hiruzen was there when Naruto vowed that how he's going to win for the sake of Hinata, as he was convinced that Naruto was not taken over by the Nine Tails or whatsoever. As Naruto simply smirked at that, "Well then, I will not be feeling any sorry for that then." As he simply looked towards into the stadium, looking towards trying to find Hinata, as he was able to find it, who was simply looking towards him with a small blush on her face. As Naruto simply nodded at that as he vanished from the area, making a crater from the place where he was, as Neji's eyes widened, but he was not able to move whatsoever as a fist slammed into his face, shattering the ground beneath him, sending him flying into the wall with such force as a large crater was formed there. As they were gasps could be heard across the area, many of the Junins did not see Naruto even moving, only the shattering of the ground, and Yuga Prodigy was sent flying, while on the other hand, Hiyashi could not believe his eyes. He has already told Hanabi that how Neji had the thickest Yuga blood ever in the whole generation, and now Neji with a single punch with such intensity that it could almost rival, you can say, Tsunade Senju. But Naruto did not stop there as he vanished from the area, as Neji could only gasp as a kick, you can say, sent him flying into the air, as Neji scream could be heard across the area as Neji once again came down, but Naruto did not let him hit the ground as another kick to his back sent him flying into the air, and once again Neji came down but met with a kick as it followed for some time, as there were gasps could be heard across the whole stadium, and finally Naruto back, you can say, handed Neji after some tries into the same wall from where he came from, as Neji was, all you can say, already slipping into the unconsciousness, as Naruto finally came in front of Neji as he said, "Well, so much for your destiny crap. It seemed that destiny ditched you at the last moment, Hyuga. Only the weakling like your kind hid behind the bullshit like destiny, and only the strong like me fight it if they so will for their desires. And just like Hinata, she may have been weak at the beginning, but you and I both know that when she started to fight against you, she was able to match you to a great degree where you did not expect it, did it?" As after that, he simply went off as there were dead silence in the whole arena, but then it burst into cheers as well as several boos from the Konoha side, but several cheers at that as Naruto gave them a smirk and a thumbs up, while on the other hand, Sakura was trembling as she said, he's a monster. Did you see that what he did to that innocent guy?" As Ino simply looked towards Sakura a bit strangely as she said, well, Sakura, you did remember that what he did to Hinata, and Naruto did vote that how he's going to beat him to the ground. So I don't think that there is much wrong with it. After all, Neji is not dead like that Gaara person did. As Sakura said, it does not matter. My mom was right. He's just a monster and nothing more than that. As Ino was a bit confused about Sakura, but she simply shrugged it off and looking towards Naruto up and down with a small blush on her face as she said, "Hey, have you ever noticed Naruto does look like the Yandaime Hokage, doesn't he? Especially with that type of hair, the blonde hair, blue eyes. Don't you think?" As Sakura simply scoffed as she said, "Huh, as if that dead loss is related to Yandaime Hokage. He's nothing but a dead loss and he only got lucky. I'm telling you now, when Sasuke will arrive here, he will beat him to the ground." As Ino was wondering as if you can say Sasuke could ever as if Sasuke will win or not, but she simply shook her head. While on the other hand, Ten was at awe. She never realized that this match will end so quickly as Neji never even got the chance to attack Naruto, only one chance, and after that Naruto brutally, you can say, finished Neji. And she was wondering if even Guy Sensei could beat Neji that quickly and that swiftly. As while on the other side, Lee was watching the battle along with Guy as both of them were impressed, wondering what type of training Naruto actually did. While on the other hand, even Janma was pretty surprised and at awe at the power. He was a Jonin, so he knew that he did not sense any of the yokai of the Nine Tails. So there is no chance of Naruto being possessed by the Nine Tails. And Naruto did have the red eyes, but not the slitted red eyes. So it must be some type of Kekkei. After all, most of the Junins came to that conclusion, while some of the minor Chunins and some more people were wondering if Naruto has been taken over by the Nine Tails. But if he has been taken over, why did he arrive here? So, yeah. While on the other hand, Naruto finally arrived to the arena area as Shikamaru simply looked towards him up and down as he said, troublesome blonde, as he had already figured out the father of Naruto who could actually that be. As he said, as Shikamaru finally arrived in front of Naruto as he said, troublesome blonde. So, you're the son of Yandaime, huh? Why didn't you told me earlier? As Naruto simply looked towards, you can say, Shikamaru with a blank look, but then a small smile came to his face as he said, "I don't have any idea what you're talking about." As Shikamaru muttered troublesome blondes, as he simply started to look, you can say, down. As the other matches started to begin, Shikamaru's match still goes the same, as well as, you can say, many other matches. And then Janma speak up, "Alright, Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara of the Sand, please come down." As Gaara finally arrived with a sand sunshine, as Sasuke was nowhere to be seen as he looked upward towards Hokage, who simply nodded as Janma sighed as he said, "The match has been postponed so that Sasuke Uchiha could arrive." As Gaara grumbled a little as he quickly went off as he looked towards Naruto with a bloodlust look in his eyes as Naruto met his eyes with his own red eyes as Gaara felt a shiver going through his body. And the next match finally began, which was Shino vs Kankuro, as Kankuro simply gave up, and another match as Janma spoke up, "Alright, Sasuke Uchiha vs Gaara of the Sand." As once again Gaara finally arrived as he was pretty angry. He was more than ready to crush someone to satisfy his mother with blood. But once again Sasuke was nowhere to be seen. As Janma simply looked towards Hokage, who sighed, wondering about Kakashi's late arrival, but it seemed that Kakashi is nowhere to be found. While on the other hand, Orochimaru was cursing why the Uchiha was not here. He wanted to see the strength of the Uchiha. His plans were at jeopardized as it was nowhere to be found. As Hokage simply nodded at that with narrowed eyes. As at this point, he just wanted to end this whole tournament so he can talk with Naruto. After all, his surrogate grandson was alive and he wanted to ask him many other things. As Janma nodded as he said, "Sasuke Uchiha, for being late, is hereby disqualified." As there were several boos, and while on the other hand, many of the nobles simply understood that how he being late, and even though he's an Uchiha, being late on missions could actually mean the death of the client. So they were able to understand the whole situation. Now let us cut back to, you can say, the next match is going to be the finale of the Chunin exam, which is going to be as there was a small tie once again against Temari and another opponent. I just wanted to do that, and against Shino, you can say that after Shino did win. Now, the final match is going to be Gaara of the Desert versus Uzumaki Naruto. As Naruto finally arrived, as Gaara arrived within his sand sunshine, while on the other hand Naruto arrived with his lightning, dark red lightning sunshine to the ground. As Janma simply looked towards both of them. Alright, the finale of the Chunin exam hereby, but before he could complete his sentence, there was a swirl of wind along with leaves as both Kakashi as well as Sasuke finally arrived to the area. As Kakashi simply scratched the back of his head. Yo, aren't we? We aren't late, right? As Janma sighed, actually Kakashi, you're late, and Lord Hokage has postponed the match of Sasuke once before, and he has been disqualified one match before. As Kakashi's eyes widened at that, he thought that they would have postponed the match of Sasuke. After all, he was an Uchiha. As while on the other hand, Sasuke was livid. How dare they to, you can say, disqualify him? He was an Uchiha. As he simply looked around the place as he said, as his eyes landed on Naruto, who was simply looking towards Sasuke with a bored expression on his face. As Janma said, alright, the match is going to begin, the finale of the Chunin exam, which is against Uzumaki Naruto and Gaara of the desert. As Kakashi's eyes widened at that, as he quickly looked around the place, as his eyes widened even further, as the first thought which came to his mind was Sensei, but then he realized it was Naruto. Though it was no secret to Kakashi that Naruto is the son of the fourth Hokage, but still, as I said, Naruto, so you have been able to make it to finals, huh? But I don't think that Naruto, you're ready. You should give up. As your sensei, as he looked towards Janma, as his sensei, I think that he should give up. So, but before he could complete his sentence, as Naruto speak up, Hatake, mind your own business and take your buddy and get out of the stadium. I have a match to win and a Chunin exams to dominate. As Kakashi narrowed his eyes towards Naruto. Naruto, I'm your sensei and I know your skills. You're not strong enough, but before pick up. Alright Kakashi, that is enough. He's in the finals and I have seen what he can actually do. So I don't think that you have the right to just say that how he is not ready. After all, he has earned it to come here. As Kakashi wanted to argue, but Sasuke speak up. Alright Dobe, I demand you to forfeit this match so I can have my match. After all, I'm an Uchiha, so I'm obviously stronger than you. So get out of the stadium so I can have my match. As Naruto simply looked towards Sasuke as he said, alright Brad, I have more than enough of it. If you do not get your sorry, you can say duck butt here, out of here, I will kick it for you. As Sasuke gritted his teeth at that, as he rushed towards Naruto in pure utter anger, as he said, what did you say to me, you dobe? But before he could, you can say, even approach Naruto, as Naruto backhanded Sasuke so hard, he was sent flying into the same, you can say, hole which Naruto made with the body of Neji. As Sasuke was with a single shot was knocked out at that, as there were several gasps could be heard from many shinobis at that, as the force behind that attack was literally brutal. While on the other hand Kakashi was taken aback from it. He has trained Sasuke to the best of his abilities. Sasuke was as fast as Lee was to a certain degree, but he quickly came to the composure as he said, Naruto, for assaulting a fellow shinobi of Leaf, you are as, but before he could say anything else, a voice of, you can say, Sandaime Hokage, you can say, could be heard across the stadium. Kakashi Hatake, that is enough. I have been saying this without argue, get out of the stadium. I have seen that how Uchiha Sasuke has assaulted Uzumaki Naruto without provocation, and he shall be given punishment for that, and now take your student and get out of here. As Kakashi was taken aback from it, but he simply nodded at that as he saw the look in the eyes of Sandaime Hokage, as he saw that this time the council is not going to, you can say, get in the way of Hokage if he so desires. As he simply nodded and took Sasuke's knocked out body away from it, as he was pretty surprised as Sasuke had two broken teeth with a single attack, as his one side of his face, which Naruto backhand, was already turning blue. As he simply looked towards Naruto with a bit of surprise, wondering what is actually going on here. The Naruto he knew was a dead lost. He should not have this kind of power. As Naruto simply looked towards Gaara, who had a bloodthirsty look on his face. You will prove my existence, Uzumaki. As Naruto narrowed his eyes at that, I will dare you to say that again, Shikaku. As while on the other hand, Gaara was pretty surprised as well as shocked to hear that how he knew the name of his Biju as Gaara was about to say that, but then he felt fear for the first time in a long, you can say, time. He was feeling utter fear as looking into those dark red eyes while in this inside of, you can say, the mindscape of Gaara. Shikaku was in utter shock. This was, you can say, this presence, he could feel it. This was the presence of its lord, the lord of the Jubi risen, one of the demon lords of Makai. As while on the other hand, Jubi was nothing more than a commander, even though he was a general and pretty powerful one and having several unique abilities, but Risen was a demon lord for a reason. As Chicago gulped a little, as knowing that going up against this guy was literally suicide, but he also knew that how his container is not going to listen to him. He is way too much bloodthirsty for that, and he will attack him whatsoever. And the only thing Shikaku at this point wanted was not to get released from the seal. After all, knowing that going up against someone like him is going to be definite death. As while on the other hand, Naruto simply smirked at that as Gaara eyes narrowed at that. For some reason, he was feeling fear, but it does not matter. He has his mother on his side, and this Uzumaki will prove his existence. As he said, alright. Gelma said, alright, now we have no disturbance. So, hereby the finale of the chunin exams begin. As he quickly announces it and jumps back as Gaara sent his sand all around Naruto as he grabbing him in his sand. As there were several Jonins as well as Chunins wondering what is going on here. That Uzumaki kid should have been able to dodge it at least, but it seems that it's not as fast. Or was it? It was just a fluke in the previous match, as Gaara said, now you will prove my existence, as he gripped his hand, trying to crush Naruto, while on the other hand Naruto had a bored expression on his face, as Gaara was wondering where is blood, as Naruto simply looked towards him. Are you done? As after saying that, as Naruto simply flicked his body as all the sand was literally sent flying away from Naruto's body as a shockwave slammed into Gaara, pushing him back a little as Gaara's eyes widened, and the next moment Naruto was standing in front of him, his dark red eyes looking directly into the eyes of Gaara as Gaara tried to move his sand, but utter fear gripped his heart. He was not able to move, not even a little. As Gaara tried to command his sand to attack, but it was to no avail as Gaara started to panic. He was not hearing the voice of his dear mother in his mind anymore, as once again, as he quickly jumped back, sweat all around his body, as Naruto quickly looked back towards Gaara with a, you can say, emotionless eyes, looking directly into the crazed as well as fearful eyes of Gaara, as Gaara said, you will not remove my existence, Uzumaki. I refuse to get my existence perished, as he sent a lot of sand towards Naruto in the form of arrows trying to kill him, as Naruto simply moved his hand as he backhanded the air as a shockwave, literally you can say, sent towards sand, as this was a lot stronger than before, quickly crumbling the sand as well as sending Gaara flying into the wall, as Gaara once again let out a roar as he was wondering why Shikaku was not coming out, as if Shikaku itself was feared, as Gaara let out a scream, as Orochimaru thinking that how Gaara is going to release the Shikaku quickly signaled for the invasion to begin. As all these sound as well as sand shinobi started to attack the Konoha shinobi, as Kabuto finally unleashes his genjutsu all around the stadium, as several of the Junin were able to break out of it, as all the fighting finally started to begin. As while on the other hand Gaara started to rush towards Naruto in blind rage, Shikaku was not coming out, he was not giving him power whatsoever, as Gaara tried to attack Naruto again and again, die, 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 as he tried to send his sand, as Naruto finally had enough of it, as he grabbed Gaara from the throat and simply you can say, slam him into the ground once and twice and started to move him all around the place and finally releasing him, sending him flying outside of the stadium. But Gaara-san was able to protect him as he was knocked out, while on the other hand Shikaku was refusing to come out whatsoever. He's not going to face a demon lord. He was not that crazy. Not even QB would dare to do so, even though they are different beings, but they still remember many things when they were in the form of a Jubi. After all, they are the children of Jubi, the parts of Jubi. They remember its mind, or rather, some of its history, so they know who to mess with and who to not. Jubi was a powerful general. It has the power to tour through dimension, as it was one of the only, you can say, demons who can easily pass through the human world as well as the demon world. So when Raisin finally decided to end it, his life, Jubi was still there, and in the end of the time, or rather, when Rikudo Senin finally split the Jubi, he was here. He was a loyal subordinate of the Lord Raisin, one of the demon lords of the Makai. So they knew that who to serve and who to not mess with. As so yeah, Gaara was finally knocked out, while on the other hand Temari and Kankuro were thinking that why Shikaku was not coming out, but it did not matter to them. Their brother was knocked out. It seemed that Shikaku was not coming out, so they quickly grabbed Gaara and decided to get the hell out of here. While on the other hand, the fighting was already going on, as Naruto simply shook his head as he quickly jumped into the air, as he could see that how all around the fighting was still going on. Many of the shinobis were fighting among each other, but then he looked upward to see how Tadokage was fighting off against Orochimaru, as well as Jiraiya was also there, as they were entrapped within the barrier. As Naruto finally landed on the rooftop where the barrier was still there, as Naruto started to walk towards it, as several Ambu arrived in front of him, as one of the Ambu speak up, "What are you doing here, demon? Shouldn't you in the village so you can kill off our enemies? After all, that is your only purpose, to serve the village." While on the other hand, Naruto literally ignores the person as he started to walk towards the barrier, as another one speak up, "Hey, we are addressing you, demon. You will answer to us," as he was about to attack Naruto. As Naruto put a hand towards him, as you can say, a blast of energy came to his hand, literally obliterating the Ambu from existence, as his whole body turned into ashes and flew into the air, as several of the other Ambu gasped at that, as he quickly made some distance at that, as Naruto started to walk towards the, you can say, the barrier, as another Ambu speak up, you have killed an Ambu. You are under arrest from here on." As Naruto simply looked towards him, "He broke the law of Sandaime by calling me a demon, so he was destined to die either way." As several Ambus simply looked towards each other, knowing that it was a law, and Naruto being a shinobi of the village, even if he's a rank of, you can say, Genin, he was within his right and he had the power to execute punishment if the law of village is broken. As Naruto literally looked towards the whole barrier, as to Yuya speak up, "Shithead, you're not going to break through the barrier. This is one of the strongest barrier of Lord Orochimaru." As Naruto simply looked towards her for some time, as Yuya had a shiver going through her, you can say, back, as Naruto simply put a single finger towards the barrier and flipped the finger into the barrier, as several of the other Ambus gasped, as the whole, you can say, barrier had started to get cracks all over it, as it shattered into glass pieces within seconds. While on the other hand, Orochimaru could not believe it, as his one of the most strongest barrier was shattered like it was nothing. While on the other hand, as first and second Hokage were also there, they were also a bit confused knowing about this barrier. It was pretty powerful, as third Hokage was standing along with Jiraiya, who was not getting the chance to activate his Sage Mode whatsoever. As Hiruze speak up, Naruto, as first Hokage as well as second Hokage looked towards him. This kid has demonic power, but it was different than QB. As Tobirama speak up, Hiruzen, "Is this kid the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails?" As Hiruzen simply nodded at that, as Hashirama speak up, "The hint of power is there, but it is also different. a lot different. I have never sensed this kind of power before, brother. As Tobirama and Hashirama being one of the most powerful sensors to ever walk on the planet, Hashirama being his connection with the nature, as well as Tobirama, the natural born sensor. So they could sense the power, while on the other hand, Third Hokage was not so much of a sensor, so he did not know what they were talking about. As Naruto simply looked towards them, and then looked towards Orochimaru, as he said, "You disgust me, you pathetic snake." As Naruto vanished from the area, as he grabbed, you can say, tried to rush towards Orochimaru, as Orochimaru quickly signaled, as Hashirama made his, you can say, farthest, tried to grab Naruto, as Naruto, you can say, the veins trying to grab Naruto, but to Hashirama's utter shock, as all the, you can say, wood veins that grabbed Naruto simply started to rotten away as it vanished within the air, as Naruto simply scoffed as he arrived in front of Hashirama, as he put a hand on the face of Hashirama, as Hashirama let out a scream of pure pain and agony. Even though he was dead, he should not able to feel this kind of pain, as whole Hashirama's body burst into dark red and black flames, converting his body into ashes. As while on the other hand, Tobirama quickly go through hand sign, one thinking that if his water should be able to avoid that fire attack, but it was already too late, as Naruto backhanded Tobirama so hard his whole body burst into black and red flames, converting his body into ashes. While on the other hand, you can say, Orochimaru could not believe it. Both of those warriors he has summoned from the dead world should have been able to deal with this skill. He was just a dead loss, nothing more than that. While on the other hand, you can say, Jiraiya was thinking if it was a doing of, you can say, the Nine Tails. While on the other hand, you can say, Hiruzen was thinking what is going on here, wondering if this was some kind of Kekkei or something like it. As Orochimaru quickly bring out his Kusanagi, as Naruto swing his arm towards the neck of Orochimaru, trying to cut off his head, as Orochimaru's sword met with Naruto, as Orochimaru grated his teeth as he said, "Do you think, brat, you're stronger than me? I am Orochimaru of the Sannin." As Naruto quickly grabbed the sword as well as the tongue of Orochimaru, which was wrapped around him, as Naruto pull the Kusanagi towards him, ripping, you can say, Orochimaru's tongue off, as Orochimaru let out a scream of pure pain and agony as he quickly performed his jutsu, repairing his body, as Naruto simply looked towards him with disgust clear on his face as he said, "Creature like you literally disgust me, Orochimaru. Today, I will end your pathetic existence." While on the other hand, the Sound Fort were trying to intervene, but Jiraiya as well as several ambus that were there were fighting them off, as Orochimaru simply looked towards Naruto in pure anger as he said, "You brat, I will kill you." As he quickly go through hands and as he released a gigantic fireball, as Naruto simply scoffed, as Naruto started to walk through it as if it was not even hurting him whatsoever, as Orochimaru took a step back in utter fear, but before he could do anything, a kick was slammed into his, you can say, knee, breaking his whole leg off, as Orochimaru let out a pain-filled scream, as even, you can say, Hiruzen stopped it for a moment to see his old prized student in pure pain, as Naruto grabbed Orochimaru from the neck and slammed him in his own knee and breaking Orochimaru's nose as well as making a large dent on his face, as Naruto backhanded Orochimaru, sending him flying. As Orochimaru quickly grabbed himself, as he knew at this point he has to retrieve. The barrier was down, which means that Hokage could intervene at any moment. Other shinobis were already coming, as Orochimaru cursed under his breath, "You brat, I will kill you, remember that." As after saying that, he quickly performed the jutsu and went off, along with Kabuto. As Naruto simply scoffed at that, he could have killed him, but it seemed that he will pose a bit of challenge in the future. As the thought, Naruto had a small smile came to his face. As after that, you can say Hiruzen arrived in front of Naruto and beside him, as Naruto quickly looked back towards him with a bored expression on his face, as Hiruzen looked towards Naruto as he said, "Are you Naruto or you a Kyuubi?" As Naruto simply scoffed, as if I'm the fox. As after saying that, he started to walk away, as Hiruzen looked towards Naruto for some time, but then he nodded. After all, fox was said to be a proud creature he would have never denied after having this kind of power under its command, which means that Naruto was in control. But what happened? He has a lot of questions. And damn, the council is going to give him a lot of headache as well. But he has more than enough of the bullshit of the council. He will deal with them when the time comes. As while on the other hand, Jiraiya simply looked towards, you can say, Naruto, as Naruto came in front of him. As Jiraiya speaks, well, Naruto, you seem fine? With a nervous laugh, as Naruto backhanded Jiraiya so fast as he was sent flying into the toils. As Naruto said, don't forget it, Godfather, because you're going to have a lot of do's in the near future. As Jiraiya was, you can say, already seeing stars. As you remember, this was just like one of the Tsunade's punches. As after saying that, as Naruto jumped into the air, vanishing into the area, he has already had a demon to talk with. As Temari as well as Kankuro were already moving, it seemed that this whole invasion was for nothing. Their trump card was already down, even though Gaara was down, as Shikaku refused to come out, no matter what. As suddenly there was a large boom in front of them, as both of them quickly came to their guard, as Gaara was already coming out and enough unconsciousness. As both of their heart freezes at the sight of the person who was standing in front of them. This was Uzumaki Naruto, the very person who beat the, you can say, Hyuga prodigy, the very one of which even the Shikaku himself was fearful of. As Naruto simply looked towards both of them with a bored expression as he said, "You," as he looked directly in front of Gaara. As Temari quickly opened her fan, "I will not let you to kill my brother." As Naruto simply looked towards her for some time, as he said, coming big words from someone who is scared of his own brother, and the very one who treats his own brother as if he was a monster. As Temari was taken aback from it, but she wanted to retort, but there was no answer to begin with. After all, it was the truth to begin with. As Naruto simply scoffed as he looked directly into the eyes of Gaara, which were half open, but then suddenly Gaara found himself within a desert. As he looked all around the place as he noticed the Naruto Uzumaki was also there, as Gaara took a step back in utter fear as Naruto simply looked towards him. As he did not say anything for some time, but then suddenly all the sand started to gather all around the area as Shikaku Tanuki, the one tail, finally emerged himself as he looked down towards Naruto in utter fear, as he literally, you can say, bowed his head in respect and fear. As Naruto simply looked towards him, so you know your position just like QB, well, it's good to see that, Shikaku Tanuki. As Shikaku simply nodded at that as he said, "Well, my lord, as I am your servant and I am at your service." As Naruto simply nodded at that. From here on, it seems that your container is unable to sleep thanks to, I can tell, thanks to those marks in his eyes. As Shikaku simply nodded at that, a bit fearful, as he said, "Why is that, Shikaku?" And Shikaku gulped a little, knowing that most of it was his fault, as he said, "Well, my lord, his seal is not strong whatsoever. Whenever he sleeps, I get an opportunity to escape, so I always take it. After all, I do not want to be sealed away like any other Biju." As Naruto looked towards him for some time and simply nodded at that, as he said, "Alright then." As he simply looked back towards Gaara, "I will fix the seal thanks to the, you can say, ancient tongue as well as several knowledge of the Kyuubi which now belongs to me." As you can say, Shikaku's eyes widened as he said, "Have you killed the Kyuubi?" As Naruto simply shook his head, "I did not kill him, don't worry about him. Your older brother is fine." As Shikaku simply nodded at that, even though he does not like Kyuubi, but still, it is his brother. But still, his knowledge belongs to me. As he simply looked towards him, "I will fix the seal, but from here on out, you will help your Jinchuriki. I see potential in the kid. Hopefully, in the future, he will be a great companion, as well as someone. With the help of him, I will be able to change the world as I want to see." As Shikaku simply nodded at that. "Remember, Shikaku, I have plans for the future. Do not disturb them. As Shikaku simply gulped a little and nodded at that as Naruto arrived in front of Gaara, who was listening to all of them pretty shocked. As Naruto spoke up, well, you're Sabuku no Gaara, huh? I have seen your life in your mind. I can already see what actually happened in your life. As Gaara was taken aback from it. As Naruto's eyes, you can say, softened a little. You know, there was once a time in my life, not too far long ago, I was just like you, having no one, always being fearful of my back as if someone was there to kill me. As Gaara was pretty surprised, this kid was strong, a lot stronger than him, and as Naruto speak up, but there are always people who are around you who always care, Gaara. Always remember that and look around. Maybe you will find those people. As Gaara was about to say something, but it was already too late as Naruto vanished from the mindscape along with Gaara himself. As Naruto simply looked towards his sibling as he said, alright, take your brother away. This invasion was at fault and you have been already being lost. So get out of here as quick as possible as both Temari and Kankuro were pretty confused, but they are going to take the chance. They are not going to fight someone who has defeated their brother so easily as they simply nodded at that and get the hell out of there. So yeah guys, said I will love this part. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For the next part you guys already know the like goal and the comment goal. Do that and I shall upload the next part as quick as possible and hopefully you enjoyed it. So yeah guys, peace and peace.